Good
Give it,
afternoon. My name. Go
hold on,
ahead.
give it 10 seconds.
Good afternoon. My name is Jim Bell. Welcome to the XBE Thrive Series, the service line micro of shared services. Today, we're going to be spending some time talking about the back of house operations within our XBE companies. Wanted to spend a few minutes beginning just to talk a little bit and introduce who the Diversity Consortium is. The Diversity Consortium works with both corporations in the development and deployment of their supplier diversity programs and diverse business enterprises of all sorts. We refer to those that segment of the supplier base as XBEs. So it is our intent to advocate both for corporations in the fulfillment of their goals and objectives through supplier diversity, and for that XBE supply chain organization to successfully and profitably execute that work. The Diversity Consortium is made up of 25 organizations. We have over 10 years average experience across each one of those organizations, and almost 300 years of work experience in the diversity field. We've got thousands of past customers and hundreds of on-staff folks to be able to help us to do that. We also represent a little over $1 billion of private equity and VC money that is being directed into this XBE marketplace. So it is our intent to be able to provide resource and support to help these organizations grow. Today, we're going to be talking about one of the down market service lines of shared services. You'll see on the slide that's in front of you is we have 13 service lines that are provided strictly to corporations in the development and execution of their supplier diversity programs. We have 12 service lines that go down market to the XBEs themselves. So between coaching and training and funding opportunities, health plans, and business analytics, all trying to help organizations grow and become more profitable. As we look at this particular topic of shared services today, we have several of our partners that help in that fulfillment. This is just a list of that group. Today, we're going to be talking about options to improve your back of house services. We're going to have a couple of presenters here, which I'm going to introduce soon, but just wanted to do a bit of webinar housekeeping. Everyone on this call is on mute. You do have the ability to chat online. So if you have any questions or any comments you'd like, please enter them in. They'll get reviewed and then they'll be asked by the producer in frame. If you ask a question and it doesn't get answered live, we will be sending out to those that are interested all of the questions and all of the answers. So do feel free to go ahead and put that in your chat bar. One of the things we're going to begin with is a survey, and that survey is what disadvantaged business enterprise category is your company. So if you could, just in your chat bar, put whether you're female or minority or veteran or service disabled veteran or disabled, any of the categories which your organization is primarily, we would appreciate it. We'll tally those and we'll let you know from the hundreds of folks that are participating in this call what the distribution is for the different types of certified organizations. The panelists that will be speaking today, Dr. Charmaine Brown, President and founder of SLAM's Multimedia, and myself, my name is Jim Bell, and I'm the chairman of the Collaborative Work Environment. Both myself and Charmaine have got decades of experience in the area of shared services and back of house support for organizations. So we're going to be spending a little bit of time just talking about our experience, talking about what we've seen in the marketplace, a little bit of market research that's gone on over the last year or so. SLAM's Multimedia is a North Carolina firm. It has 10 employees and has got a varying experience around marketing and marketing support. The collaborative work environment is a data analytics company that helps organizations to manage their data and manage their teams. It is a North Carolina company as well, and we've done work with over 75 of the Fortune 1000 companies. The agenda and what we're planning on covering today is what is shared services? What's the current state of that industry? What are the market trends that are happening there? If you so choose to embark upon a journey of executing shared services, what do you got to do to be successful? And what are the major challenges and hurdles? So as we work through that today, shared services is basically what you would have thought is bringing all of the organization's departmental functions into a centralized, central managed, central platform environment so that efficiencies can be gained, leveraging of the resources and staff to be able to support that, and to be able to automate and clean up the processes to make it as efficient as possible. There are some significant things that are going on in the world. Shared services is an environment that's been in offering for 4 decades. But what we're seeing is in recent times is people doing a hybrid model of centralized or center of excellence organizations that do finance and accounting and other type back of house functions, as well as outsourcing things or out-tasking items that they either don't have the bandwidth or the interest to do. The multifunctional scopes that are really being done are those things that are done in every business. Finance, HR, procurement, and IT certainly are among the highest. We're going to see in the survey a little later on how that organization and the tasks within those organizations kind of split out. All of which those scopes are really trying to lead themselves into more digitalization, more analytics to be able to make those processes and systems more repeatable and cheaper to be able to perform. There is also a significant initiative to move to a more diverse organizational fulfillment models. So more than 80% of the corporate companies that we surveyed see that at least a third of their staffs are minorities or women. So we're starting to see a fundamental change in the corporate environment. And some things in this market which you're really starting to see is how do we compete for talent? And that's a challenge across every business, but there are some interesting ways that this industry is starting to provide flexibility and value to its workers to draw them into this space. So some things about shared services just generally in trend, and let's start out for why people do it. It's mostly driven by 3 places. It's to lower the cost. It's to be able to improve the service levels and the capacity for growth, and be able to monitor and control the process compliance to make sure that things are happening the way that it's supposed to. So that tends to be why people make a shift. Most organizations start with somewhat of a haphazard definition of those shared services, and they grow to a scale where they just can't be managed that way anymore. So that's where we start to see, and this is where kind of the trends in this shared services are starting to emerge, and that people are automating and digitizing their work. This way, compliance can be established and measured. It also will drive for a more repeatable process. The idea also of being able to leverage scale. So this virtual shared services, people working from home, and we certainly saw that as a part of our phenomenon with COVID and some of the social unrest and the disruption in the workplace. So being able to provide more consistency in processes, and this is absolutely driving a significant cost reduction to organizations. From 10 to 40%, depending on the service line and the current delivery model. And then the last piece of this is really trying to start to automate some of the processes, and that's where you hear machine learning and automation robots and things like that that start to drive the activities and can be monitored from an AI perspective, so that things become faster and cheaper and certainly more consistent. Things to keep an eye on, particularly when you get into this shared service arena, and when a department is covering multi-divisions from an internal perspective, or it's been outsourced to another organization that's going to focus on that back of house service, there's some key points that you really have to pay attention to. Account management, really understanding what the service needs are of the stakeholders, making sure that the people who need to know are kept abreast, that the contracts are being abstracted and regularly monitored for compliance, that there is a healthy feedback loop, that I am not getting what I need, or I need something that I'm not getting, that allows me to be able to continually improve the operation, trying to take effort and cost out of that system. Also being able to protect and leverage the data, and that database that allows you to be able to leverage and make it faster for the next time around. Continually watching performance and reporting on that performance, and then reviewing and making sure that the process that's being deployed is sufficient as it could and should be. So a little bit of information, and Deloitte has done a shared service survey for the last number of years. This is out of their current version, reported in March of 2021. Multifunctional scopes, most commonly people are going out with their finance. So this is financial platforms, accounts receivable, account payable, billing, tax information, payroll. So there is a handful of sub-departmental items that are in that. HR is all the HR management role. So basically that's a high volume outsource or centralized service, because it is the same across divisions. Procurement has got that similar sort of leverage, and then of course IT is right there with it. We'll see 20 more departmental functions that will begin to hit this, but this is by far probably where we started to see this trend 3 decades ago, starting to come out in these areas, and they continue to lead the pack. So another survey we'd like to ask, and just how generally is your organization performing these functions today? Is it done internal? Is it done by contract? Do you have centralized services, yes or no? So if in your chat box you could just hit for your organization, yes or no, for whether or not we are outsourced or in a shared service environment. And if you're doing it in service, to use a center of excellence. So this was another piece of that same Deloitte study, looking at several different departments and sub-departments. The darker blue is that these are corporate functions. The turquoise is that each division or department owns its own resources there. And then the gray is shared services. So we've rolled it up into a departmental function that everybody utilizes. And you can see the numbers are quite high, particularly through the finance functions and payroll, down to even sales and marketing, where 35% of that work is being shared service dealt with, either through a center of excellence or an outsourced provider. So it is a significant component of the delivery model today. Another question that was certainly in that survey, and it's in the shared service delivery, are they being done through a center of excellence, internal, or are they being outsourced to another provider to be able to do these services? So there's some very interesting correlation. Certainly those items, finance, HR, and IT, such a large portion is being shared service, and then it's just whether organizations are internally or externally sourcing them. We're seeing that the things, as we go down the hill, people are trying to push out what they would call as non-core activity. So these things will, over the next decade or so, continue to rise. The idea here of being able to manage the expectations of the customer, and there's a lot of tools to be able to do that. Certainly, having a venue, voice of the customer, having the ability to on a regular basis get feedback from the customer is it. Being able to put operating plans and goals in place so that people can see. Down to process control council so that there is an escalation if there's challenges or service levels are not being met. Another interesting chart here from the same Deloitte study. The darker colors are the goals and the lighter bars are the actual results. So a fair level of consistency here in terms of this is what we wanted to have happen and it happened. Sometimes it has been overshot. So the opportunity was a little better than what they would have expected. And this has been true for a number of years in running, that a well-deployed plan, shared services plan, can have significant value to an organization. And then really kind of looking through the spectrum, and this kind of goes back to those trends, I think, in the beginning of this presentation, but to be able to understand the data and be able to report on it, absolutely staying in very close touch to the customers, stakeholders, and what their needs and what their satisfaction level is. The ability to drive the financial business case, understanding truly what the real costs are today and what future costs might be as a result of this shared service aggregation. And then being flexible, allowing for the people that it takes to grow an organization like this, providing a level of flexibility and an environment that is attractive to people that want to work there. And the last is this idea of working from an office, and what we've seen over the last year or so of such a large number of people moving out and working from home or in some virtual method. So those things are all pretty important as you start to look at a successful shared service environment. You have to be able to maintain control of the workflow and be able to measure compliance. So the last survey that we're going to take here is what's your biggest challenge in your back of house or shared services. So if you could just type out in your chat bar what the thing that really causes you the most consternation as you try to deal with those services. Again, we'll tally those up and get it back to everybody who is online with us. So a little bit about the series itself, the XBE Thrive Series. The Diversity Consortium holds this topical call once a month. In June, it was the state of supplier diversity. Later this month, in August, what is it to be an XBE? That session is on August the 26th at 1 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time. So if you're interested, go on to the supplier diversity website and you can register. A link will be sent to you and you can join that way. Of course, there is one a month about that same late in the month time frame. We would love to have you come and participate. This particular call is a micro, and these micros are a little more specific in terms of the content that's being covered. Tends to be singular subject, finance or marketing or this shared services call. And those can also be found on the website for the Diversity Consortium and events. You go, you register, it'll send you a link to be able to participate. Just wanted to talk a little bit about what the Diversity Consortium does around shared services. We have got 20 service partners that provide a full suite of services, the spectrum of service provision through finance and accounting, marketing, IT, and HR, but also facilities, real estate, governance, risk management, and compliance as well. So this kind of takes all of the corporate services of a large organization, and it puts it at the fingertips of smaller organizations, the XBEs that normally can't get the quality of service that they might want, certainly across such a broad stream. So Diversity Consortium is thrilled to provide this service. We'd be glad to talk to you about how it applies. So if you could just reach out into the web or to the website, and someone will be glad to follow up with you based on what your needs are. Today, I want to thank everybody for taking the time to join us. The Diversity Consortium XBE Thrive Series is rolling well, and we appreciate your participation. Hopefully, you find these topics interesting and helpful to grow your business. Thank you all, and have a great day.